Good morning everybody. So today we're going to look at tricky words. So we've got some tricky words that we know how to read and some of them we can write down ready for year one. And I know you know all your new teachers now, so that's very exciting. So you know who your new class teacher is ready for the autumn term. So let's look at our sounds so far that we've done in all the phonics that we've put onto the videos for you. Okay, off we go. This one was a trigraph from last week. Who remembers it? The picture gives us a clue. Ia, ia, ia. This was a trigraph from last week. It gives us a clue in the picture, a little light. A light in the night, I. Here is another digraph. We did this one a long time ago. Shh. Th. This is the one we get a bit confused about. It has a t and a h. Th, th. Ring on my finger, ung. Ch, qua. Zzz. Oh, a coat on a goat, oh. Remember the action, sometimes we get a bit confused. A snail makes a trail, a. E. There is the big ear trigraph, ear, that we did last week. And here's the big I trigraph, I. And here they are again, ear and I. So today we're going to look at tricky words and we're going to read some sentences with tricky words in. So it helps us to recognise tricky words that we cannot sound out. And I know Tricky Toucan will be joining us. Oh, I think he wants to come up now. Oh dear. Yes, Tricky Toucan, I know the boys and girls are going to year one, but they might need some tricky words to help them with their reading. He's quite excited about that. Yes, I know you know which boys and girls the children, what class they're in now. Quite exciting. So, we're going to look at some tricky words, Tricky Toucan. He's just so excited. Right, let's have a look. These tricky words, quite a lot, are the ones that we've been doing all year at school and we've been looking at them on the videos. Okay, let's see if we can do them together. Two. We talked about this one in a phonics video a few weeks ago. It has the th sound at the beginning. Them. Th-is, this. Now this is the one, Tricky Toucan. Yes, you cannot sound it out. You just have to know it. Let's see if the boys and girls know it. They. Quite a hard one. They. The N, then. The at, that. They all had a th at the beginning. So now we're on to that one that means we're going somewhere. We're going into. There's the little word in, cover up in. There's the little word to, a tricky word. Put them together, into. These are the ones that have the E sound at the end, not E digraph, the name of the letter E. So the name of is E. Here it is in the alphabet rainbow. E, E, he. E, me. W-E, we. Ooh, I can see a digraph at the beginning of this one. Sh, sh-e, she. Now, this one, if we sounded it out, it would be g-o, go. That's not a word. No, Tricky Toucan. Do we just have to know this one? Go, go. This is the one with the naughty A in the middle that should be an O, but when we read it as was, was. Here's another one with the E sound, the name of the letter for B. Here's one we're getting really good at, the. And one we did last time, for. We went for ice cream. And the last tricky word that we did last time had an oo sound in it. This word sounds like another tricky word, to oo, to. We went to. Now, Tricky Toucan, there are some more tricky words that are quite hard. I've got 4 of them today. If you have a whiteboard, you could write these out or make some cards like Mrs. Tia, and I know some of you like to make the little cards that are like mine to practice at home with. Now, this word we say a lot when we're talking about our friends. We sometimes say you and me, or you are my friend, or you can come to my house. You. We can't sound it out. You. It's a tricky word, so we might need that one today. You. I'm going to put it just there, just to remind us that we might use it today. Here is a really hard, tricky word. It looks like al. It's not al, because we can't sound it out. It just says all. We are all in year 1. We are. Next one. I like this one because it's talking about you. When you talk about yourself, you say my mum has a birthday. My guinea pig is brown. Or my dog is cheeky. My. There's another tricky word for today. And the last one we're going to use today, really quite a hard one for this, isn't it, Tricky Toucan, is ah. And I can see, if I cover up the E, I can see the R sound. Car in the park, R. The E at the end is a silent letter. We don't say R-E or R-E, it's just R. So we're going to use all of these in our sentences today. Let's look at them quickly again to remind us. You, my, are, all. Right then, okay. I've got a sentence on here, Tricky Toucan. Let's see if the boys and girls can see a tricky word that we've just looked at. It has a capital letter. I'll give you a clue. It's the beginning word. At the beginning of the sentence, it has a capital A. If it was a little a, it would be a, e. We can't sound it out. What do we think that might be then? One of those tricky words. Let's see in our tricky words pile. Does it have a y in it? No. Ooh, does it have an a in it? A and an e. Ah, ah. So I think it's tricky word ah. Let's take the little word away and just carry on reading our sentence. So the first tricky word is ah. I'm going to put a wiggly line under it so we know it's a tricky word. Ah, ah. This word we can sound out because it has a digraph. I'm going to underline the digraph. Who knows that digraph? Shh. So we can sound it out, blend the sounds together. Ish, fish. This word we see a lot in our reading books. Who knows it? And. Let's go back to the beginning to put it all together. Are, fish, and here's another word. It has the ch sound. Ch, ch, chicks are chirping. Ch, ch, ch. Let's sound it out. Ch, ips, chips. Are fish and chips? And here's another sounding out word. It has a digraph in the middle. It has the oo sound. 2 Oz is the digraph oo. Let's sound it out. Ood, food. And look, at the end of the sentence is one of these. A question mark. This is a question, so we've got to give it an answer. Let's read it all in one go. Are fish and chips food? So on your whiteboard, you need to put no or yes. Decide which answer it is. Are fish and chips food? Who knows the answer? It's a bit of a silly question, really. I know the answer. Yes. Are fish and chips food? Yes. This game is called the yes-no game. So you could play this at home and get some little cards that say yes and no, or put them on a whiteboard on both sides, and if mum or dad ask you a question, you could answer with yes and no, and you could write out the question, or mum could write the question for you, or dad. Are, tricky word are, fish and chips food? And it had the oo digraph in that last word. So now we're going to do another yes-no sentence. I'm going to take this one away and I'm going to write out the next yes-no question, and there'll be a tricky word in this question. So the first word we're getting really good at recognising. There are some digraphs in this sentence. And I can see a question mark. Ooh. So let's read the first word. We might know it straight away. It's quite easy for lots of us now. We could sound it out. Can. But I bet some of you just know that one. Can. The next word is a tricky word, and it's this one. We say it quite a lot in our talking and in our language, but we can't sound it out, can we, Tricky Toucan? No, we just have to know it. Can anyone remember? It begins with a y at the beginning. Can you Can you, and here's a word we see a lot in books, and it has a digraph, so we can underline the digraph. Oh, we need to put that wiggly line under the tricky word. So you is a tricky word, so we can put a wiggly line under it. Can you, and here is a digraph word. You might know that word already, but we can sound it out. There's a sound button here, and then we see the E sound. I can see a B, E, E, E. Can you see a? And here's the same digraph. Here's the beginning sound, which has a sound button, so we can blend the word. Sound buttons help us blend words. They help us to put words together. B-E, B. It was a question because it had a question mark. Let's read this tricky word sentence. Can you see a bee? Get that yes, no ready. Can you see a bee? No, not in my lounge, but I wonder if I went into my garden, the answer would be yes. Maybe you will see a bee today. You, because you is a really good tricky word to learn. You. So we have learnt in our sentences today, we learnt are so far, are, and we learnt you. So they were two quite tricky words. Let's have a look at the next one. So this is not a yes, no, this is not a question, but you could play the yes, no game at home. So you could get yes and no, like we talked about, and play it at home. So we're nearly finished, but we'll just have a look at this one. There's a tricky word in this sentence we did a long time ago. And one of the tricky words we did today. And they look very similar. They look a bit the same and we get them mixed up. There's a symbol at the end. So I can see a tricky word here, and I can see another tricky word. I think we did one of these words today. My. Can anybody see my in the sentence? My. That looks a bit like it, but it's got an E on it. So it isn't my. Is this the same? My. Y. We can't sound it out, can we, Tricky Toucan? We just have to know it. My. Let's put a wiggly line under the tricky word my. My. So we know that's my. But there's another tricky word in this sentence. Is it that one? I think we can sound that out. And. And can have 3 sound buttons because it's a blending word. We can sound it out, we can blend it. And. Who's spotted the other tricky word? Don't think it's that one. Could it be the one at the beginning? Now I'm going to put a wiggly line under it because it is a tricky word. It's a bit like my, when you talk about my things or my mum, but it's also a word about when you talk about me, when you talk about yourselves, me. Me. That's a tricky word. And it has the E sound, the name of the letter E is E, at the end. Me. It's a very little word, Tricky Toucan, but you can't sound it out. Because if we sounded it out, it would be me. That's not a word. No. So me. me. Let's read our tricky word sentence. I can see 2 tricky words in my sentence. Me and my, and this is the final word. It has 4 sounds, so we can do 4 sound buttons because it's not a tricky word. Let's see if we can do it together. G, r, an. G, r, an. Gran. I think this is about my gran. Me and my gran. What's this symbol at the end? It's not a question mark. It's not one of these. It's not a question. We can't answer it. It's not a yes/no question. So what is it called? It means we can shout the sentence. Ready? Me and my gran. It's an exclamation mark. If you see it in books, it means you can shout it. You might see this symbol in letters or in a newspaper or in magazines or comics, because an exclamation mark means it's loud and we can shout it. One more time. Me, tricky word me, and my, tricky word my, gran. Brilliant reading, everyone. So, that was a sentence with me and my in. Now we've got a sentence that has another tricky word in that we learnt today. Let's look at it again. It's quite a tricky one, isn't it, Tricky Toucan? Now this one, Tricky Toucan, can you see it? It has a bit of a digraph in it. If I cover up the air, we talked about this before. It has the what digraph sound, ah, and it has a silent E, ah. And this is the digraph ah. Car in the park, ah, ah, ah. And I have a sentence to finish today which has this tricky word in it. And it's something that all of the children in foundation stage are going to be now. Let's see if we can put it in a sentence. Here's a tricky word we learnt a while ago. When you see any tricky words, see if you can shout them. And I think I can see a trigraph and a symbol at the end. So, where is the tricky word ah? Let's look at it again. It's quite a hard one. Ah. There's the ah sound. If you can see it, put a wiggly line under it. Ah. Now, there's a tricky word at the beginning of this sentence. Tricky word ah, and another tricky word we've learnt today. Quite a hard one. Extra tricky. This one. It's really hard to remember. All. I'm going to put it down there just so we can remember it has the all sound at the end. We don't go al, because it's a tricky word. We just have to know it. All. So let's read the first tricky word. Who can remember that? We. Ooh, tricky word. Are. We are all. Here it is, all. Little word, in. Really good at that now, in. Some of you might just know it. We are all in And here is the trigraph hiding in the word. And here is the sound. Let's look at the beginning sound. Y, 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 y. We are all in y. And what was that trigraph? Can anyone remember? Here's the clue. Ia, ia. We are all in y, ia. Year. What year are we in now? We are all in year 1. And I think we are, aren't we? We are all in year 1. There were 3 tricky words in this sentence. We are, and that really, really tricky, extra tricky word, all. All. Brilliant tricky word sentences. So tricky, Toucan. We will see the children in year 1, won't we? Brilliant. So looking forward to seeing you when you're in year 1 in September. And all the foundation stage teachers will come and see you. See you very soon. Have a lovely summer. Bye bye.